Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of Hawaii. New property going live today. This one in a subdivision we have previously bought, listed, and sold a number of properties in the past. This is one that tends to get a lot of interest from our buyers simply because of what you see up here in the headline, relaxed zoning laws. Of course, we might be saying, hey, Hemingway, you say relaxed zoning laws on a lot of your Hawaii properties. That is true. That is correct. That is accurate. We do say that simply because down there in Hawaii County, they have a lot of what I call laid back or progressive attitude about zoning, about what can and cannot be built in various places. That being said, this property goes one step further. It sits in a subdivision that has no HOA, no POA, no annual dues, and no covenants or restrictions. So really whatever you want to do, you are likely going to be able to do out here. Tiny home, shipping container home, yurts, etc. So for those of you who come to the website looking for that or looking just to buy a piece of property where it's yours, you can do what you want, no one is ever going to tell you anything or fine you for anything, this may be the property for you. With that said, let's get to the details. This is reference number HIHI 11772, located in Hawaii County, aka the Big Island. Specifically, it's in the eastern region of that island, known as the Puna District. It's a scooch more than a quarter acre of land, and it is in the Orchid Isle Estates subdivision. And as you saw up top here, this quarter acre is priced at a mere $8,000. With that said, let's pull this up on a map, show you guys exactly where this is. As with all of our listings, come down here, click any one of the GPS coordinates, and up on the Google Maps, it shall appear. So first off, this is the part of the video where I like to pull back, show you guys exactly where this is in the state of Hawaii, and then we'll get into specifics. So first off, for the uninitiated, this is Hawaii. It's a very informative video, guys. And this right here is Hawaii County, aka the Big Island. Over here on the eastern part of the island is the Puna District, and that is where this property sits. Specifically, if we zoom in on the map here, you will notice this cutout region right here. This is the subdivision itself that the property's in. This is Orchid Isle Estates. Now, I should just have you guys know, Orchid Isle Estates sounds like about 15 other subdivisions in Hawaii County. So we'll get into the differences in those a little bit later. But the point is, don't get it confused with some of the others. Be prepared that if you do a little research on this property, you may be reading about a completely different subdivision. But again, I'll get back to that in a second. Anyway, as you can see, the property sits very close here to the Belt Road, to the Mauna Kea Highway, Highway 11, which wraps around the entire island. Of course, it also sits in close proximity to some small towns over here, such as Volcano and Mountain View, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. And of course, because it's close to the 11, it also gives you, sort of quick drive time between those places. Additionally, you've got Curtistown just up the road, Kiau just up the road, and not too far away, of course, is Hilo, the population center of the island, where you will find even more, dining, shopping, nightlife, big box stores, golf courses. We got one golf course, two golf courses, etc., as well as the colleges and universities, Hilo International Airport, and just basically the center of business and industry within the island. Additionally, if we pull back a little bit, you can see some of the other nearby things that you can explore, that you can take advantage of here on the island. Of course, the black sand beaches here along the southeastern coastline, the Poihoiki black sand beach, the Kehana black sand beach, and then of course you've got the famous Kalapana night market that takes place over here in Kalapana, as well as the lava viewing area that's in this region. That and many, many more things. You'll notice a lot of forest reserves here, a lot of hiking trails, things like that, ATV rides you could go on through here. And of course, you've got the whole rest of the island at your disposal: surfing, picnics, whale watching, so on and so forth. About a million things to do in Hawaii. If you Google things to do in Hawaii County, you'll get a list. It's long, trust me. Anyway, point being, so this property is located down here in Orchid Isle Estates. Specifically, it is off 4th Street, just off of Lehunani Street. Lehunani, of course, is the main road that travels through this subdivision, and 4th is pretty close over here to the Mauna Kea Highway, but back far enough that you're not going to hear a lot of highway traffic. If we go to map view here, click on this, you will see representation of the plat that covers this entire region. You will notice that pretty much all the lots out here are these roughly quarter acre lots, just like this one. So if you're looking at this saying, hey, I like a quarter acre, I wish there was more land, so do I, but that's the way that the subdivision was subdivided. So you'll not be able to find 5 or 10 acre parcels out here. This is really, as big as it gets unless you happen to find adjacent lots. Whatever the case, situated here on 4th Street, just off of Leihunani, you'll see that there are some homes in this region, some people living out here. Additionally, there's one that doesn't show up on Google Maps. We have photos of it in our photo gallery. Just very quickly, I want to pull the little man off the map here and drop him down here at this intersection, where you can see, number one, well-maintained roads in this region and power running up and down Leihunani. Additionally, you can also see power going down the road here on 4th Street. And this road is not as well maintained as this road, though it is actually, the photos that we have make it look a lot more appealing than what you see here on Google Maps. So let's go to the photos, guys. Down here on the listing page, if you scroll down to the gallery, you will see we have a couple things. Number one, a representation of the plat that I just showed you. If that doesn't do much for you, we also have Google Earth overlay of the exact sort of size, shape, location, the placement of where this lot is. You can scroll through that. Now, one thing I just want to mention about the photo gallery, so we pride ourselves on always getting photos taken of the properties that we list. That being said, the guy who we hired in Hawaii this time was completely indifferent to all of the notes I gave him on what I wanted photographed. So we're cheating a few of these, but I will walk you through this here. We did not get as many photos as we would like. I did not get as many photos of the things that I would have liked to have gotten photos of, but I'm going to try to kind of educate you on the region and kind of point things out in the little bit that we do see here. So first off, this is Leihunani coming in off the main road off Highway 11. That's what this looks like. Next, this is from the property itself. This gives you a sense of the roads on this street. Pretty well maintained dirt gravel road, not entirely paved, but obviously it's something that can be traversed in any vehicle type. Additionally, the other takeaway from this photo is that you've got power going up and down the street, and you've got a pretty dense forested lot like you have in most all these subdivisions in Hawaii. Additionally, more photos of the dense forestry, more photos of the road and the power lines, and etc. Then we go to the overhead shots. The photographer went out there. I think he flew the drone around the subdivision twice and then called it a night. So we have a few photos here. This is, well, let me just go to the next photo. So labeled here, this is Leihunani Street. This is 4th. This is where the subject property sits. As you can see, the road a little better maintained than what we'd seen on the Google Earth photos, but, you know, still not as paved as this one. Additionally, this is the corner lot that I was referencing earlier. It's not developed. It's not developed much here on the Google satellite view, but as you can see, you do have neighbors here. Additionally, as we go through this, we have done some helpful outlines of the approximate location of the property just to give you a sense of, you know, again, size, shape, location. And the fact that you've got some neighbors just across the street, you've got some neighbors just down the street, you know, it suggests a couple things. Number one, it might be a nice residential neighborhood. Additionally, when you see things like cars just sort of parked at random like this, some of these structures look to be you know, not formal single-family residences so much as just things that a lot of people kind of, you know, built on their own. It suggests that whatever you want to do, if your desire is something like a tiny home or a yurt or something like that, that you will be able to pull that off with little resistance. When you see what the neighbors have, that's always a good indication of what you can and cannot do. Additionally, overhead shot here of the lot. You can see what this neighbor's place looks like. You know, if you're looking for a place where you want to build a single-family residence, where you want to build like a really nice house, this may not be the subdivision for you. We have other subdivisions in Hawaii that I can recommend, but this is certainly a good one for all of the aforementioned things. By the way, here in the overhead shot, you can kind of see the power lines running up and down this side of the street, so power is directly at the lot line. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, as we go through this, it's just more of these overhead shots. Unfortunately, we did not get more shots of the road like I normally like to get, more shots from the property. That being said, as you can see, it's a densely forested lot. So, of course, anybody who's going to build on this is going to have to do like the neighbors did, come in and clear the lot. Fortunately, as we've discussed in a number of videos, out here in Hawaii, it's a sort of cottage industry of people who own bulldozers that can come in and doze a lot, that can come in and knock down these trees and stuff and kind of clear all this for you, make it, you know, flat, level ground that you can start to build on. And we'll get into that in just a bit. Anyway, unfortunately, that is the extent of the photos, guys. You know, here at Hemingway Land, we like to get a lot more photos. It didn't happen this time. I apologize. The guy who shot these honestly was a jackass, and we're never going to use him again. But anyway, with all that said, let's talk a little bit more about the subdivision. So it's up here under property-specific notes that I usually like to get into what we know about the subdivision and what we can tell you about it, and covenants and restrictions and rules and regulations and yada, yada, yada. So as noted, the property sits in Orchid Isle Estates, and if you go to the map and just kind of zoom back a little bit, what you're going to see, Here's Orchid Isle Estates. Totally different. And there's a couple others that don't show up on the map, but they are, I want to say one is like, well, there's Orchid Isle Estates, Orchid Islands Estates. There's all variations on that. This one is also known as Glenwood Gardens. So for any of you who want to do research on this, for any of you who have questions that I'm not answering in this video, if you start Googling Orchid Isle Estates, just be very careful about the results that come back, because some of them describe subdivisions that are not the subdivision that this is located in. This is also known, as I just mentioned, as Glenwood Gardens. That's helpful. If you see that in any of your Google searches, you know that you're on the right path. Whatever the case, this is all my way of saying that when we started researching this, and we're pretty good at finding covenants and restrictions and rules and things that we need to make our buyers aware of, there is really nothing that comes up on the internet about this, which is kind of shocking. Additionally, when we call around to realtors out there, they don't know much about it either as far as it having covenants or restrictions. And we couldn't find anything recorded with the county. So for our purposes, we're saying this is a property that has no covenants or restrictions. It certainly doesn't have any active HOA. A lot of times you will see subdivisions that have HOAs. At the very least, they have a website. Maybe the website hasn't been updated in 10 years, but they have some kind of online presence. This one does not. And based on what I'm seeing with the neighbors, with the kind of things that are being built out there, my guess is there's not a lot of supervision or a lot of, kind of ticky-tack rules and regulations about what you can and cannot do. So point is, we're telling you, interest of full disclosure, what we know is there's nothing recorded with the county, there's nothing we could find online, nobody we talk to knows anything about it, etc. So that all suggests that it doesn't exist. But if you would like to dig into this more, please be our guest. But just know that with your research, Glenwood Gardens is what this is also known as. Okay. Anyway, with all that said, I do want to point out just a couple things here. Number one, as we mentioned, this property is in Lava Zone 3, Flood Zone X. Of course, if you're not familiar with the flood zones, I'd encourage you to Google that and read a little bit about it. It'll give you a better explanation than I can. But essentially, throughout the history of Hawaii, going back thousands and thousands of years, there are regions of the island more likely to be affected by volcanic activity, by lava flow, and those regions are numbered 1 through 9. The higher you go, the better it is, the safer it is, etc. Lava Zone 3, while that may sound low to you guys, is one that is over thousands and thousands of years historically pretty untouched by lava flow, so much so that it's actually an area in which you can get homeowners insurance. A lot of insurance companies won't insure land in lava zones 1 or 2, but they will insure land in lava zone 3. So if an insurance company is willing to touch it, it tells you that it's pretty safe. Anyway, additionally, one other thing I want to point out to you here, guys, we have just about the dozing. If you're not familiar with land in Hawaii, if this is the first time you're coming to our website to read into this, I was pointing out a pretty forested jungle type lot earlier, and I was saying hire somebody with a bulldozer. As noted, there's a lot of people out there who do that, but there's actually some pretty good videos on YouTube of what that process looks like, and we've linked one here. We link it on all of our listing pages because it's the best one I've seen. But if you click that, it's going to take you to a video which you can watch right here. It's an hour long. If you have the time, if you have the inclination, you can see exactly what one of these lots starts and finishes as. Whatever the case, this is what it looks like at the start, and by the end of the video, this is what it looks like, and you can kind of see the progress that's made over just an hour of bulldozing out there. Point being, guys, if you are going to do something like that, if you are going to start to build on the property, this is something that usually requires a dozing permit, and then once you have the permit number, then you can usually begin on that sort of thing. But any questions about that, we'd encourage you to call the Public Works Department. We've got their contact information down at the bottom of the page, and I'll get back to that in a second. Anyway, actually, let's go down to it right now. So first off, under county contact information, Hawaii County Planning and Zoning. This is one thing that we always recommend. So as I said up here at the top of the page, relaxed zoning laws. What does that mean? I don't want to make you guys think that that means, oh, I could go do anything and I don't need a permit for anything. That's not what it means. But what it means is that the things that a lot of our buyers want to do that are either, if not impossible to do elsewhere, prohibitively expensive to do, counties make them that way so as they don't have, unconventional structures in their regions. Hawaii is not like that. They have a very progressive mentality about this sort of thing. So if you do want to do a shipping container home or something like that, just live off the grid. It is easier to do out there. That being said, of course, there's going to be permits for various things. And it's something that you'll want to dig into with the county. If you're looking to make an $8,000 purchase with us, we encourage you, whatever you want to do, make sure you do your research on that in advance. So we like to give links such as the county zoning departments, things like that. That's number one. Number two, you don't want to live off the grid. You want to live on the grid. You want to get hooked up. Helco, Hawaii Electric Company, they're the people you want to talk to. This is going to take you to their website. Really, if you just reach out to them and say, hey, I'm looking to buy some land. It's in Orchid Isle Estates. It's, right off Highway 11, and there's actually power lines running up and down my lot. What is it going to take for me to get hooked up to the grid? That's a conversation that you're going to want to have with them in advance. Maybe it's free. Maybe they hook you up because they've got a paying customer from now till the end of time, or maybe it costs, X amount of money. Find out what that is. Find out what that is before you start spending money on this. Additionally, we also have down here Waterworks Hawaii. This is something I like to link to because a lot of our buyers, particularly people from the mainland, are unfamiliar with this. But when you're in a climate like this where it rains so much throughout the year, you've got a lot of people out here. In fact, it's very, very common. This is not like a unique thing that only weirdos do. It's very common to have a rainwater catchment tank where you catch rainwater, use it for bathing, for drinking, so on and so forth. So if you don't know anything about this process or what kind of permits you need for that or how the rainwater is maintained or kept sanitary throughout the year, it's a very smart idea to reach out to vendors who do this sort of thing. This is just one of them on the island. But, reach out and ask questions logistically. What's involved with this? What's it going to cost for me to set something like this up? How many gallons do I need on the premises at any one time? Depending on, what does it depend on? The lot size, the size of the house, the square footage of the house, so on and so forth. And they can answer questions like that. But the point is, if you are serious about building out there, this is something that you're going to need to investigate. That's why we like to provide the links for it. Finally, guys, just one other thing. I occasionally like to link to this Off-Grid Hawaii YouTube channel. These are people who are obviously living off the grid in Hawaii, and they do things like grow their own food, and they've got videos about making a compost toilet, about living out of a shipping container home. That's what they do out there. Solar power, etc. It's actually a really good, really informative YouTube channel. So if this is a life that you want to lead, this is a good subdivision to do it in. This is a good piece of land to do it on. I believe, I don't know much about growing things, but certainly as far as the zoning is concerned, it's a good area to do it in. But this might be a good channel to just sort of investigate, just to learn more things about just practically living in Hawaii. What are things you need to know if you are going to grow your own food? It's just a really good resource. It's a really informative channel, so I like to point it out to our buyers. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. With all that said, guys, just a couple things I want to point out to you. Points of interest, again, Google things to do in Hawaii, or just click some of these links. You're going to see all the great things that are available on the island, etc. So if this is a property that you are interested in purchasing, just come up here, click the Buy Now button. It's going to take you to a secure checkout page that we have here. This is an $8,000 purchase. This is not something that I anticipate most people can charge on a credit card at one time. So we like to just start it off with a $500 non-refundable earnest money deposit. You put down the $500, we're going to contact you, say, how do you want to pay for the rest? You want to put it on one credit card, 2, 3? Do you want to close through title and escrow? How do you, the buyer, want to do it? Now, most buyers at this price point just elect to put it on various credit cards. So we start you off with the $500. We ask you for some information, a legal name for deed, marital status, everything that we know to generate the proper conveyance documents, tax address, where's Hawaii County going to send the nominal tax bill each year. Agree to our terms of service, click next, and on the next page you can enter credit or debit card information. Now, once you put down that $500, the next step is we're going to contact our attorney. We're going to basically contract with them to write up a new conveyance document, new deed, plus some supplementals that are required to convey land in Hawaii. They're going to do that while you're paying the remainder. Once everything's done, we're going to pass that deed on to you. You approve it. You tell us, yes, you spelled my name right, my wife, my husband's name right, things like that. Make sure everything's copacetic. You agree, we sign it, we notarize it, we mail it off to our attorney to record with the county, and voila, the property is yours. Practically speaking, it takes a few weeks before the hard copy of the deed shows up in your mailbox. That being said, we do forward along an email copy of the recorded deed acknowledging the conveyance to our buyers pretty soon after it gets recorded. It's usually like a week later we have it. Anyway, if you'd like to read more about just how the purchasing process works, if you want to close through title escrow, here's some notes on that. Attorney closing, this is what we recommend for something like this, simply because the property is so inexpensive. Additionally, we pay the cost of closing for an attorney close. We do not pay the cost of closing for title escrow. That'll be the buyer's responsibility, etc. And just a couple other things to keep in mind, guys. The $500 is just a way to start you off on this purchase. We expect the buyer to pay for the thing pretty soon after. This is not a financing situation. This is not $500 down and $100 a month for the rest of your life, etc. Oh, also, one last thing, guys. Financing. For those of you who like to ask us about financing information, Hawaii actually has, and we're linking to one here, Hawaii actually has a number of banks, a number of lenders who will lend on vacant land. You don't find that a lot in other states. This is one of them. This is Hawaii Federal Credit Union. We have not worked with them personally, so we don't vouch for them per se, but they seem to have a pretty good interest rate, pretty good loan program if you bother to read through this. You know, it's an $8,000 purchase. Maybe you've only got $2,000, maybe you've only got $3,000 of that money, but you've got good credit or decent credit. You can apply for this, you know, and maybe you can get approved and you can get money to buy your dream property. They are one resource. Again, you know, just Google, you know, Hawaii lenders vacant land, something like that, and you're going to come up with actually a pretty big list of other people, other organizations that do this sort of thing as well. Though, of course, Hawaii Federal Credit is a pretty reputable name out there. Anyway, with all that said, guys, hope you found this informative. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment here on the YouTube. Shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com, or give us a call, 702-919-7170. As always, guys, thanks for watching the video. Much appreciated, and we will see you in the next one.